when I'm walking down the street.
I do want to say to Donnie and many of you in this room that over a very long career in this city, all of you have helped me and my colleagues tell the truth and to try to tell.
I may not look like you and you me, but
my head up.
I'm South Carolina, so I just...
What does this event mean to you, Miss Peggy Moss?
Oh, my heart,
Happy 20th anniversary.
my heart is about loving up on my sisters. Do you know what it feels like to have your sisters in the room? John.
And dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. I am beautiful, I am blessed, but not just what you see in the flesh. I'm free from people, free from myself. There's
The doctor lived next door to the janitor to the reverend and the lawyer. We were together. Now we get so high and mighty that you create stress for your society because you don't like poor black folks either. That's a health problem. Get yourself together so I can stop being taking care of geriatric people and get back to pediatrics. I thank you, Donnie, for all you've done. Let's keep doing it for all the more.
letting His glory shine through. Dare to be you, dare to be me, dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. And I dare you, I dare you, I dare you to be you.
First name's Donnie, last name's Glover. Entered the winning for the long haul. Baby, it's Monday morning. Good morning. Lord have mercy. Hope you had a good weekend. Praise the Lord, we made it through. Lord, bless this show. Bless everybody that listens to it. Bless us to say something empowering, something encouraging, something informative, something that might inspire change in a positive direction. My name's Donnie Glover. We've been hosting this show since December 2020. This is our pandemic pivot. And ever since December 2020, we've been running this blackusa.news platform. We have shows 7 days a week, including shows from Oakland, Los Angeles. Oakland is on Thursdays with Doug Blackshear. LA, that's weekdays at noon. So it'll be 3 o'clock West Coast time, 12 noon here on the East Coast. And of course, New York, Baltimore, DC, and Atlanta. Okay, so we got to take a moment and let you know that, brace yourself. Dr. A.C.D. Vaughn got his wings last night from Sharon Baptist Church, and we thank God for his life. We pray that the Almighty welcomes him into the kingdom. He was a very fine pastor. As a matter of fact, he was the finest pastor in all of the land. That's what Dr. Vaughn would always say, the finest. He said, I know it's not in the dictionary, but you look it up. The finest preacher. He had a kind word for everyone. He always was encouraging. He was the senior pastor, not just here in Baltimore, but across the land. Everybody running for office had to go see Dr. Vaughn. You better go see Dr. Vaughn. If not, you were going to have a problem. A lot of people may not know this, but the Afro was born in the basement of Sharon Baptist Church, the Afro-American newspaper founded back in 1892. And on that note, we just want to acknowledge also all of the people from the Black Press who came out for Black Press Day on March the 16th. It was the 196th Black Press Day. And of course, that's the anniversary of the first black newspaper born in New York City, March 16th, 1827, the same year that slavery ended. Okay, so going back to BeMoreNews.com, we have always been pushing 5 key agenda items: black business, public education, returning citizens, affordable housing, universal access to health care. Did you catch that? I'm going to give it to you one more time. Black business. And that would explain our Black Wall Street Awards. We've been doing those for, 12 years now. We've recognized over 2,000 Black entrepreneurs and professionals, as well as the people who support them, regardless of race. So Black business, public education. Why? Because it all starts in the schools, and that all starts at home. Returning citizens. Why? Because America represents 5% of the world's population, but we have 25% of the world's inmates, and half of them are us. So Black people are starring in a movie when we're only 13% of the population. How in the world are we half of the people in prison, but we're only 13% of the population? Affordable housing, universal access to health care. So today we're going to talk with Natasha White, and she is a friend of a friend. We deal with, of course, in New York City, Mr. Victor Pate. Mr. Victor Pate is a legend. You know, I remember the first time I met him, and all of the people who came out for this man. I mean, you know, you'd be blown away. Black, white, Asian, Latino, he touches everybody. He's helped everybody. Mr. Victor Pate. I can't even begin to tell you how many Black Wall Streets we've given there, particularly in Harlem, where Victor Pate has come out and we've recognized. One young man built a library on Rikers Island, but that's Mr. Victor Pate. Anyway, his latest person to lift up is Natasha White. Natasha was held in solitary confinement for 4 years. 4 years in solitary. That's a hallelujah right there, just to survive that. 4 years in solitary. 4 years out of a 15-year sentence in New York State. Since her release, she is now look, this is some Harriet Tubman stuff. See, Harriet Tubman had her freedom, but she went back to help somebody else. Since her release, Natasha has been a leader in the Close Rikers, HALT Solitary, bail reform, and less is more campaigns. Did you catch that? Close Rikers, HALT Solitary, bail reform, and the less is more campaign. She's the current director of community engagement for Interfaith Action for Human Rights and the National Unlock the Box campaign state representative for both Maryland and Virginia coalitions on solitary. So without further ado, we present to you the Queen. Good morning, Queen.
Good morning, King. Good morning. It's Money Making Monday.
Money Making Monday. And you
That's
from
right.
Brooklyn. You from Brooklyn.
All day.
Do you happen to have a favorite rapper?
No, not at all. But I do have some musical artists that inspire me. Mostly
Who
women.
inspires you?
Queen Latifah, MC Light, Smooth the Hustler. Yeah, those are my top.
That New York accent is real crisp. It's real crisp.
Absolutely.
You can't lose it, can you?
No, I can't. I can't lose the vibe either. You know, being down here in Virginia, they think I'm extremely aggressive. I'm not. We just tell the truth. But it's a pleasure. And thank you for having me on your show this morning. You were actually my introduction to Baltimore. Yeah, so let's get to it.
So 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years. That's where you want to start? I went to prison, and unfortunately I was labeled SRG because of my current husband at the time, his gang affiliation. And when I was transferred from Rikers Island to Bedford Hills Correctional Facility, they immediately put me in SHU. And I stayed there until I was transferred out. The warden claimed that she would not let me corrupt her population due to my husband's gang status. And he was in a male facility. Full disclosure, I've never been part of a gang, but that was her way to do away with me. And there was nothing I could do about it until I was transferred. So 4 years.
What is SRG?
It's gang title. I can't remember what the letters actually mean, but it's a gang alert.
So for those that don't know, solitary is total darkness.
Yeah, yeah. For the women's prison, solitary is the building is new, soundproof. You can't hear outside, can't hear inside if you're outside. Totally dark. It's like a dungeon. It's a brick building, about 50 cells inside. The sliding where they slide your tray. There's the window is very, very small outside of the cell. And of course, the bars on the window facing the outside are so thick that minimal light comes through. It was a horrific experience. The noise, the banging, the kicking, the smell, something I'll never forget. Never. Never.
The idea was to break you.
Yeah. I was so angry though. It wasn't happening. The couple of times that I did get out of my cell, like to go to medical or whatever, I was just grateful to see a different sight or to smell fresh air. And of course, even though you're handcuffed and being escorted, you see people will be screaming my name. Hi, Tasha. Hi, Tasha. I was always smiling, screaming, talking when I wasn't supposed to. But it saved me, just those small glimpses of light and the fact that I wasn't sentenced to life. So I knew I would get out of there. I had absolutely no idea that I would suffer the way that I did, though. Even now, still suffer.
How?
I don't play well with others. I'm so accustomed to being by myself that I can only take large crowds of people in very small doses. And I'm definitely uncomfortable around anybody that hasn't been through what I've been through. So my closest comrades are like Victor Pate. I could be with him all day. We go to events, we together all day, as soon as we get off the plane. But as far as friends that are not directly impacted, I don't have many of those.
What people don't know is that Mr. Victor Pate was in solitary.
Yeah, for having too many sheets. Ain't that crazy?
He was there for having too many sheets.
Mm-hmm. He worked, the shift he worked while incarcerated was the same shift that they did sheet exchange. So he would constantly miss it. So they would leave sheets for him, but never take the old ones. So one day they did a cell search and he had multiple sets of sheets. They tried to say he was trying to escape. That is why he was in solitary. It's insane. People have the misconception that everybody that goes to solitary confinement is violent. And even if that is the case, solitary confinement does nothing for that. It makes it worse. Yeah, it's extremely.
The warden lady who put you in solitary without question, do you pray for her?
No. I did at one point, and I feel like she is no longer a part of my life. But what she actually did with targeting me is I pray for the people that have to deal with me after her. The systems of oppression. I pray for the legislators and the senators who I stand in front of when I'm trying to change laws. I pray for those people that through her negligence, they see my power. Without her, I wouldn't be where I am. And I was very angry for a very long time, but I realized that I've been able to redeem myself from just life experiences. I didn't go to prison for no reason. And I'm able to save somebody else's life because I've witnessed firsthand what that does to you. Like, I've witnessed people kill themselves, witnessed people be murdered, sexually molested, sexually abused, physically abused, starved, totally medically neglected. I've seen people break. And this become my mission in life to step in and just dismantle. I'm a disruptor.
When is your birthday?
March 6th. Just passed.
Happy belated. A Pisces.
Yes, very, very sensitive. Very.
My daughter's a Pisces.
I know she's a force to be reckoned with.
Wow.
What, Tommy?
Yes, she is.
Right. We think with our emotions. Pisces are very sensitive.
You know, they say y'all are the oldest of the zodiac signs.
I never knew that.
If Aries is the 1-year-old and Pisces is the last one, so it's the 12-year-old.
Oh, wow.
Evolved Pisces. Now, there's some unevolved Pisces, but it's unevolved in everywhere. So did you almost lose your humanity?
No. Like, as I told you, I was extremely angry. You know, from a young child, I had anger issues. Around the age of 13, I was diagnosed with intermittent explosive disorder. So I spent more time fighting than hurting.
Intermittent explosive syndrome.
Disorder. Intermittent explosive disorder. You know, it's the true definition of 0 to 100 real quick. And I believe the only time it actually worked for me was when I was in prison. Because I spent so much time being mad that, you know, the emotional breakdown was far and few in between.
Rikers Island. Tell me about it.
Raggedy. I call it Raggedy Island. Rikers Island is a cesspool of just unhealthy, it's just raggedy. There's no other way to explain it. The smell, when you come over the bridge, it smells like feces. It's literally on top of, you know, where they used to put a landfill. And when I came home from prison in 2016, it was the first campaign I ever joined. When I think of how there's absolutely no kind of rehabilitative anything there, no programs, and a lot of people don't realize that some people stay on Rikers Island for at least 2 to 3 years. And then you have others that come in and out like a revolving door, I being one of them. Before I did my 15 years, I was arrested approximately like 24 times. I had a real bad drug addiction. I was constantly getting arrested for minor possessions, getting 30 days, 10 days, 7 days. And even the intake process, you're sitting in a cell with like 50 other people overnight. People are withdrawing from heroin, throwing up. You know, the toilet is full. You can barely use it. The officers are laughing at the people begging for food. It's just, that's inhumane. And the sad part about it is most people in Rikers aren't even sentenced. Like, you're really innocent until proven guilty. The whole incarceration circle is just a disease that we keep feeding.
Natasha, when did you realize that America has more inmates than any country in the world? I mean, China, we're just below China, but just for clarification, China is 1.4, 1.5 billion people. We got 400 million people, and we have as many inmates as China.
Well, first let me say I don't like to use the word inmate. I'm
sorry.
Incarcerated individual.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
We have as many incarcerated individuals as China.
Yeah, America leads in the rate of arresting and incarcerating people, but that is because of the 13th Amendment. That is why we make up the majority of the population, and we're the minority. This is the way to get free labor. Prison has the largest budget in the country. There are more prisons than there are schools and hospitals combined. It's not by accident. It is by design. Mass incarceration is the only disease in the world that we feed instead of cure. It's not by mistake. It is not by mistake that I was in prison making garbage cans for 13 cents an hour. It's not by mistake. So, are we going there? Because the fact is, slavery is abolished unless you commit a crime and are convicted.
So you from Brooklyn, right?
Right. Right.
Some great lyricists come from Brooklyn.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Remember them in the hills up in Brownsville, the one we rolled dice with, smoked blunts, and got
nice with. Yes, Biggie. Shout out to Biggie. Biggie was amazing. But just like every other powerful person, that he was gunned down or just quieted at a very young age. Something that happens more often than not. And not by surprise. Not by surprise, they mute you.
I think about some of the lyrics, some of the greatest lyrics. A lot of people think of Bronx. I tend to think of Brooklyn. I love
Brooklyn definitely. Yeah, Smooth the Hustler, Trigger the Gambler, Papoose. Please. Nothing but truth coming out of their mouth.
But today, Natasha, the art form, what in the world are we talking about today? We're talking about killing each other. When I was growing up, if you called a woman, a girl, a B, it's going to be a fight at 3 o'clock.
Right.
Her brother, her boyfriend, somebody fighting, but you're going to have to defend yourself. But now, sister's saying, I'm the baddest B. What are we rapping about?
It's the same as it has always been. People rap about their lives. But
this is not. A lot of them faking the funk now.
Yeah, they fake the funk with the riches, but that shoot 'em up and trap music, that's their life. Period. That is their life. That is what they're accustomed to. I have family members that have talked to each other in a manner you would talk to somebody on the street and for some reason I can't, I'm unaccepting of it. But that is what they're accustomed to. So
now you the elder.
Yeah, I'm not only the elder as far as my siblings are concerned. I'm just different. I have a large family. Trying to build a better relationship with my paternal side, although I was raised by someone else. So there's a lot of clash that goes on because of the difference in how I was raised and how they were raised. My mother has always been very mild and well-spoken, and my father was in the street. So now that when I deal with him and his street, it ruffles all my feathers because my stepfather was a smooth, quiet man from Brooklyn. You know what I mean? So just the way you grow up and the things you experience in life definitely shape who these rappers are. These rappers look up to the person that gets shot. Back in the days, we looked up to the person that was shooting. The whole system combined is a clusterfuck. Excuse my Spanish. And you witness it in all our daily routines, daily activities. Women have conformed to being naked and calling themselves bitches because they think that's right. But who did they learn that from?
You saying they learn it from men?
No. Everybody learns from somebody. Most of us learn in the home. That's where you learn first.
Starts at home. Education
Starts at home.
So when I went to school in Georgia, I met some New Yorkers. And one thing I've learned, so New York ended slavery in 1827. So this is like 40 years before the rest of the country. So your schools are better than most other places. Education is taken more seriously in New York, say, with all due respect, in Georgia.
Right. New York is definitely a more progressive state.
Say what you want. New Yorkers have a grasp of language, mathematics, and when they come to a southern city, New Yorkers can be tad like not very fond of illiteracy.
Yeah.
It's come on, think.
Yeah, New York is a very progressive state. I think though we have very high levels of crime though because of the amount of population we have. And I can definitely attest that it is very hard to be comfortable in a southern state. As I said, I live in Virginia now, and I've been here since 2021 after the HALT Solitary bill in New York passed. I moved, I needed a change. My life had started to go in a different direction. I was separated, headed for divorce, and I just needed a safe space to grow. However, the only safe place I feel safe at is inside my house. I don't have many friends here. They're too slow for me.
Yeah, what I'm saying. You don't like slow.
And the problem with the communication barrier is, as I said, I'm extremely honest. I'm a little hype. They take it as aggressive, right? And then Southerners have this passive aggression that they think is Southern politeness that really doesn't rub me right. However, what I've learned to do is just accept people for how they're coming. And if you move with intention and integrity, then you won't be offended by how someone else carries themselves. But there's a definite big difference between the Southerners and New York in everything.
But they share more food with you down south.
I'll be scared to eat it, baby. But can we talk about why I'm here?
Why are you here?
Okay, so I am the current director of community engagement at Interfaith Action for Human Rights. We are a faith-based group that focuses on the humane treatment of incarcerated individuals. Currently in Maryland, we have legislation to limit the use of solitary confinement to 15 days within a 365-day time span. And what we have noticed in Maryland is that, solitary confinement is excessively used there. Nearly 12,000 times somebody was in solitary confinement last year, and there are only 14,000 people in the correctional facility, in the Department of Corrections in Maryland. So with me just now getting the Maryland part of this campaign, I will be coming through, making myself known, and building a grassroots campaign of directly impacted individuals to help push legislation that affects us. I want to thank you, Danny, because you are my first conversation in Maryland.
I'm Donnie. Danny's my rich cousin.
I said Donnie.
Okay. I ain't arguing.
Yeah, it's my Brooklyn accent.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Can I put your phone number and email address out here?
Absolutely.
All right. So we want to make sure that people contact you. So you care about returning citizens here in Maryland. So they incarcerate a lot of people here. We see it.
My brother is currently incarcerated in Maryland. He's been there 26 years. He comes home April 14th, where he will be taking his behind back to New York. We thought he would never get out of there. I have a special interest in this state. That's why I took it on.
Why?
Because my brother has been there for 26 years in their prison system.
Where is he?
Yes, I don't know the name. I would have to look on my phone, and my phone is on live right now.
So there's some places here. We've heard horror stories over the years.
Yes.
The Cut, the Penitentiary, Patuxent Institute for the Criminally Insane. You know, Natasha, they know by the age of 8 whether or not we are going to prison or graduate from high school. They can tell by the age of 8 years old if a person's trajectory is leaning to the left or to the right.
Of course you can.
Let me tell you something about the state of Maryland. In 1973, they came up with the Maryland State Lottery. The number one promise was money for education. When it passed in 1973, money for education, over 15 billion has come through the lottery. We have a new football stadium. We have a new baseball stadium.
Right.
But we have classrooms in the city of Baltimore with no air and no heat. They have to close school when it's hot, and they have to close school when it's cold, because instead of, we were more interested in a football stadium and a baseball stadium than we are with making sure our babies are warm in the winter and cold. You know, it's crazy. It
is because people fight for the wrong stuff, and then don't realize they and sometimes it's because of lack of education.
And sometimes it's because Black people in position didn't do anything, didn't say anything. You say, see something, say something.
Right.
Natasha, what I found is we are a bigger part of our problem than we realize. The enemy is us. The enemy is us.
Absolutely.
It's us. They look like us. They look like this. You be like, no, it looked like it.
What I see in the current state of oppression is many of us are oppressing ourselves. You don't take the time to educate yourself on how to advocate for yourself. You want someone else to solve all of your problems, so you spend more time complaining than doing. And then you're interested in the wrong thing. You know what I mean? You would rather fight to be able to apply for credit, or to be able to purchase material things, than fight to get schools, books, or anything of progress in your state. You know, I just did a legislative advocacy training for some of the returning citizens in Virginia, and I commend those people that joined that training, because during the legislative session, they actually put it to use. But I really didn't understand how nobody knew you can go into a legislative building and speak to a legislator. You don't think you can speak to the people you actually vote for?
We don't think that far.
Exactly.
We show up. We just elected a Black governor, and everybody went to the ball because we like the party. We like the party. Hip hop parade. We like the party.
Right.
We are specialists at a party.
Right. Or a cookout.
Oh, and we don't bring anything to the cookout except aluminum foil. To take something on. But we good with the party. But like you said, beyond pulling the lever or filling in the circle for a candidate. The rest of it is beyond us. We don't know their phone number.
Nothing about them.
We don't know what they do. We just went to the party. We don't know when the legislative session is.
Yeah, today's crossover. And unfortunately, I did not come to Baltimore because I have other things to do today. And being that I'm just now reaching into, Annapolis, being that I'm just now, getting my grounding in the state of Maryland, I kind of want to sit back and see how this session plays out. My organization does have legislation in around solitary this year, but I want to see what's going to happen with it before I target whichever part of Maryland I want to target first. But when I come, I'm coming to pick up those like me affected by the systems that I'm affected by and educate them on how to dismantle them. As I said, I'm a disruptor.
So do you know the Victor Pate of Baltimore?
No, who is that?
He just got his wings. His name is
that's
Brother Bay.
Brother Bay.
Brother Ellsworth Bay, he just got his wings. May the Almighty welcome him into the kingdom.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was a soldier. He created this organization called FOXO, F-O-X-O, Fraternal Order of Ex-Offenders. Ashe to Brother Bay, my friend. He came over here. I live over here where Freddie Gray got killed, and he cleaned my corner up 20 years ago. They were slinging dope, coke, and rock on my block every day. But he came over here and he shut it down.
Right.
This is 20 years later, 22 years later. Every now and then somebody try to pop up. But we're not having it.
That's right. You got to stay grounded.
We're not having it. Go sell it somewhere. Go sell it in front of your door.
Right. Right.
And Baltimore's gotten mean with people who stand against it. There's a family called the Dawson family, where 5 family members died in a firebomb because the mother was saying, you can't sling it right here. And they firebombed the whole house, the mother and 4 of her children, gone, the Dawson family. So there's a lot of trauma. And then there's this retarded mentality, retarded. Retarded mean it hasn't grown, it hasn't developed, it hasn't evolved. Somebody's saying stop snitching. So wait a minute, we defend terrorists. Because if you slinging rock, dope, and coke, including fentanyl to your own people, you're a terrorist. I don't care how much money you care how much money you made, you're a terrorist.
Absolutely.
You are an enemy of the people. You slinging poison to your people. And we, a lot of us, oh yeah, boy, he over there got that. Okay, look at and then it's the drug dealer who just can't escape karma. They got the stacks. But come to find out their child is addicted.
You know what? There's also the lack of knowledge, as we spoke of before, that there's a such thing called transferable skills.
Yeah.
You understand? For the returning citizens that have not been able to find their lane into being productive citizens.
They will let a murderer out before they let a drug dealer out.
Absolutely.
Because
a murderer is less likely to reoffend. People, and this is where it starts, right? Let's talk about crime. Drug dealing, to be specific. Most people that sell drugs, first of all, start at a very young age. You know why? Because they are trying to take care of themselves or their family, right? People commit crime according to a need. Now, when you get older and you continue with this behavior, it is definitely a choice that you could have avoided making. But understand the child who has a parent on drugs and has to feed their siblings. You know, all of this starts with design. Poverty is the number one cause of most crimes, right? And then lack of education and lack of esteem is the cause of why people continue, even when returning back into society. Had I not gone to lunch one day and ran into a friend that was going to talk to Mayor de Blasio, I would still be on drugs. Because the penal system, after locking me in a cell for 4 years, did not rehabilitate me, right? I was addicted to drugs and married to a gang-banging drug dealer. So I would have been released back to him and continued with the same chaos. What ended up happening is God put somebody in my life to interfere and help me figure out what it is I could do. Now, I always was able to speak freely. I never was scared of nothing, right? So I went from talking shit to people in the street to speaking facts to people that can do something about whatever my issue is. But somebody has to show you that that's possible. So even with my friends now that were drug dealers, now work in sales somewhere making a lot of money. My other friends who were in prison with me have created organizations for them and people like them, where my first time arrested or before I even went to jail, I wouldn't have been able to get a job that paid more than $12 an hour. I make $92,000 a year from my living room. It is called education and wanting to change. It is called learning that you have a lane. You need to find it. You need to find it.
But you also found a purpose.
Absolutely. I was angry as hell. That is what prison did to me. It pissed me off. Pissed me off. I was nothing but a girl, pretty girl on drugs that did 15 years in jail for it. So I had to find a way. So you have to be accountable for the lack of success you have and stop blaming everybody else for you oppressing yourself. Now, I'm not going to say that the deck ain't stacked against us. But if
we don't have to help it.
Yeah, we don't have to help it. Right. You don't have to help it.
So what do you remember you did to cheer yourself up through those 4 years in solitary? Was there a song? Was there a prayer? Was there a memory?
I used to write. I wrote poems all the time. I also wrote.
You could write. You had paper and pen.
Yeah. I had paper and pen, or read a lot of books. But writing was definitely the main thing that I did. I wrote a book. I wrote numerous poems.
At some point, you got good.
I always was good because I'm honest. You know how you read something and it doesn't hold your attention because it's bull crap. I've never been into bull crap. Doesn't excite me. I like the truth. I have so much of it.
What authors do you remember reading?
Stuart Woods is my favorite. Stuart Woods is my favorite author. Of course, I read millions of books, not millions, hundreds of books. But Stuart Woods, I've read every book he's ever written. And it is because he writes about crime, suspense, but you can actually see his characters. I read a few James Patterson novels. He has nothing on Stuart Woods. Of course, I read every book Sister Soldier wrote. As you see, I'm into crime though.
So
Game of Thrones. I read all of their books.
I think you should have a show on our network. I think you should have a show right here on this network, Black USA.
How about it? I think so too. I'm thinking about me and my friend Kenneth Deuce Hunter, thinking about a show called Talk Time, where we talk specifically about time, how it affects you, and then the time it takes to get reacclimated with the society, the time it takes for your family to forgive you, the time that it takes for you to forgive yourself.
If they forgive you, if we can forgive ourselves.
Right. I think that's a generous offer. I think you're absolutely right.
What do you want to say to the young people out there?
If you don't like something, change it. Period. Get the tools you need to change the things you want to change. That is the only way it works. Stop waiting for somebody else to do what you are very capable of doing yourself. If you want a lifestyle, make your way to it. Do whatever you need to do without jeopardizing your life or your freedom. There is a way to be successful. There is a way to have peace in your life. And there is a way to be fulfilled. You just have to be honest with who you are, know what you are, and know what you want to be. I know who I am, what I am, and why. And that is what gives me the direction of what I will do next.
Why do you care enough to be an advocate?
This is how I deal with my trauma. You know, I used to always say, people always said to me, like when I was in New York, I go to every rally. They'd be like, Tasha's at every rally. I'm always chanting. You see the bullhorn behind me. I'm always making a bunch of noise. That's how I get my shit off. That anger does not disappear. That trauma does not disappear. I found a way to deal with it and not let it bury me. And this is what it is. I wish somebody would have saved me. Anybody that deals with me is not going to have that wish because I'm going to do whatever I can.
How is the food in Virginia?
It's the same.
What's your food spot in Brooklyn?
I like West Indian food. I like Spanish food and I like Jamaican food.
Who got the best jerk in Brooklyn?
I don't know. I go to Queens for jerk. Or the Bronx. It's on Burke. What is the name of it? Can't think of it. I would take the train all the way to the Bronx to get food. I can't remember the name of it right now. But it's on Gun Hill Road.
So Brooklyn has a large Caribbean community.
Yeah, but that's Flatbush. Brooklyn, New York is a melting pot. So no matter what, the only borough that you will find a lot of West Indian food is Queens. Queens, well, just like Harlem, is mostly Spanish food. Brooklyn is a mix. You got West Indian food, you got Spanish food, you got the Dominicans, you got Chinese restaurants everywhere. But yeah, if I had to tell you about jerk, the Bronx is where it's at, or Queens. Queens, they got the grills outside. You pull up at the gas station, it's a big grill on Hollis and Francis Lewis Boulevard, where he grills jerk chicken, also in 40 projects on 160th and 140 and 107th. They grill outside at jerk, baby.
So do you have a book out?
No.
Not yet?
Not yet. I had one and I lost it in the mix, In the mix, I lost it.
This is my first book, Unapologetically Black.
That's crazy. I'm in the process of writing a book and I'm fussing with the title.
Why?
But
why are you fussing with the title?
Because I have a few titles, but I think they're gonna end up turning into a few books. However, one of the titles is Unapologetically Me.
So let me give you a scoop. Don't tell nobody the title until you copyright it.
Okay. Okay.
And you copyright it on loc.gov.
LC.gov?
No, LOC for Library of Congress.
Okay. LOC.gov.
Yeah, you can't tell nobody the name of it until you go there first.
Okay.
You
No
can't
doubt.
tell nobody because people steal.
Right.
So what are you going to write about? You're going to talk about what did you write about?
I'm going to definitely write about my life, but what's stopping me is I don't want a glorified hood story. I want a story that focuses on healing, and the strength of, a young girl who was misguided, misled, and out of damn control. I was out of control from a teenager.
What could have prevented this? Was it missing your dad?
I think that my trauma is definitely generational. You know what I mean? My parents were teenagers. My mom was 14 years old. And also she's a very successful woman and definitely beat the odds. I wasn't raised by a bunch of people. I was raised by her. She finished high school at 17, went to college, owns a home, makes a lot of money. She was emotionally unavailable. So, the fact that my mom had her own traumas and my father was in and out of jail and in and out of my life, it didn't help. I believe the support system that was needed.
I like how you said that. You ain't throw them under the bus.
Nah.
You gave understanding.
I give grace. I give grace. And that's new for me.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because it's easy. Yeah. But every time I do that, I got 3 of them coming back.
Right.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because we don't own our stuff.
Yeah, nah. I own my
stuff. It's easy to deflect, to project. It's them. I made the worst decisions, and I thank God that I survived.
Right, me too.
I made dumb decisions. My mother said, don't do that. Don't go around on Warwick Avenue. And I had to go. Had to go. My father said, don't go up Poplar Grove. I had to go. It's like we go to the very places they told us not to go.
Not to go. Yes. You know what it is? We spend so much time fighting against the guidance that you deem my issues are definitely, my decisions were definitely my fault. And that's why I have to give grace. And it wasn't until recently that I was able to do that. Because for years, I always blamed my parents for everything.
So grace, getting what we don't deserve. You learn to give grace to others.
Right. Let me tell you something. I asked my mother one day, and this is the first time that I was told about her experience during birth. Everybody always, focused on my father's whereabouts when I was born. Nobody really talked about what my mother went through. And the reason why is because she was by herself. So I asked her one day, I'm looking on Facebook, and it says, they'll be able to tell something about you by the time you were born. So I called my mom. This is last year. I was 46. Called my mom. I said, Mom, what time was I born? She said, what? I said, what time was I born? She says, I don't know. I said, you don't know? She said to me, Natasha, I was 14 years old on the city bus in a snowstorm by myself and in labor for 26 hours. You are lucky I didn't leave you there. And that's when I sat back and said, damn. How would I feel at 14 alone, having a child and not knowing what the hell is going on?
In other words,
And that's where the grace came from.
when we think about, it's so easy for us to condemn someone without realizing mama could have thrown us in a dumpster.
Now, I was angry my whole entire life. I literally started acting out at like 8 years old, meaning I've broken my mother's windows, fighting in school, special ed. I started going to jail at 13. All because I was mad at my mother for not giving me something she didn't have. She didn't have it and still don't. I give her grace. Period.
And now you realize she gave you grace first.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I hear people over, life, you hear a lot of things. It hurts me when I hear people talk about their mother. And I'm like, well, she could have trashed you and we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
In Islam, they say you love your ummi twice.
Right.
And you love your father once.
Yeah. In Islam, the woman has to say 3 times before the man when it comes to her children.
She's our first hero, our first teacher.
Absolutely.
Our first love. And Mother's Day is coming up. What would you have people remember as we, go into these European style holidays all in America? But we still make them black. We still put some soul in it because
I think holidays, the only reason we celebrate holidays is because it represents family. That's it. It's the coming together of family, just like Thanksgiving, Christmas. You could be the poorest of the poorest, but you spend all your money on food just to have family time. But to me, that's what's important.
So, Natasha, people behind the walls, what's it like around the holidays?
People behind the walls are family. We do the same thing you do at home. We all get together. Somebody could get a turkey sent in that's fully cooked, or we'll do chicken. It'd be 5 or 6 of us make our Thanksgiving meal together, and we sit down and we eat together. People, let me tell you something. I'm closer to the people I was in prison with than anybody else.
Why?
Because that's my family. We share traumatic experience, and the only thing that got us through was each other. My felony fam is thick. Thick. One of my sisters is on, hey, sis. One of my sisters is online right now. She's like, right, sis, love you more. We thick. We go from state to state visiting each other. We know each other's children, each other's parents. I am closer to my sisters that I were in prison with than I am to some of my real siblings. This is a different type of
share something. I know you wrote something. You got some poem. We're running out of time, but we're gonna let this flow. Give me something. Share something with me.
Wait. Okay, wait. I can't remember it off the top of my head, though. Hold on. I got you. A second.
And we want anybody in Baltimore, if you're dealing with returning citizens or incarcerated individuals, call Natasha White, 318-295-5343, 318-295-5343, 318-295-5343.
Who are you and what do you want? How will you answer that when you realize you're talking to yourself and nobody else? Have you ever been so uncertain of you that you have become a stranger to yourself, giving up your drive to sit on the passenger side, on a ride to nowhere but heartache and disappointment? Who's to blame for your deviation, cultivation of love lost, message not conveyed, a life of incomplete sentences and reverse GPS? Your idea of love has become a clusterfuck of hopes and prayers. Who are you and what do you want? That is the question of the day. Can you remember your first thoughts of what love should be? Or have your memories been so tainted by your nightmares that you've lost all hope of the dream you once possessed as a little girl? Are you sure the fairy tale is not real? Or have you just switched characters? Dreams of being Cinderella have changed now to being Pretty Woman. Will Prince Charming save you? Who are you and what do you want? That's the question of the day. Brokenhearted and confused, yet you carry on with the responsibility of nurturing others, everyone but yourself. Drink up, honey. Can't do this on an empty stomach. That's what you tell yourself when you start to shut down, believing that the world won't go on without you. Meanwhile, everyone else is fine and running on fumes. Who are you and what do you want? I am her and she is me. I am the one who will outlive and overcome your deceit. I am the one who is responsible for what comes next. I am the one who will win. I am the one that conquers all against me, the one to put all the pieces back together. Who are you and what do you want? I am Natasha, the owner of this healing heart. Thank you.
Now, I can't let you go. Thank you for sharing that. I'm feeling it. I got goosebumps. What's up with the Pac-Man machine behind you, sis?
No, don't deal with my Pac-Man. That's how I decompress. Sometimes I'm at my desk from like 5:30 in the morning to like 4:30. And in between, I got to get up and just get busy real quick. Donnie, I love you already.
Okay, one last question. Who was your favorite comedian?
Some more.
Favorite dude comedian? Favorite dude?
Richard Pryor.
No, the new ones, the newbies.
Oh, Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart, hands down.
You better tell Kevin Hart stop promoting gambling in the state of Maryland. Tell him back up, shorty. We got all of these famous black people promoting sports betting. We don't. Yeah. Come on, dude. You got millions. Come on, find something else to promote.
Right.
And you got Jalen Rose pushing sports. Kevin Garnett. Come on, dude. You got millions. You can't.
Misguidance. And you know what? That is a pure example of people promote from their own level in life. Okay, so he's rich and he's promoting gambling because he can afford to lose money.
We can't.
Exactly. So that's why it's up to you and I to promote what we can afford to do. I promote change. I promote speaking change into existence. I promote fighting oppression. You know why? Because that's what I can do. From lawbreaker to law changer, baby.
We have to bring you on this network. We thank you so much for sharing with us. You've made us laugh. You have made us cry. You have made us angry, but you have given us hope.
Thank you. Same.
I thank God for Mr. Victor Pate. Whenever we come to New York, we see Mr. Victor Pate, but now we have to come to where you are in Virginia and bring our Black Wall Street Awards. We've given away over 2,000 of these plaques.
Woo!
We celebrate Black entrepreneurs and professionals, as well as the people who support them regardless of race. I told you we recognized a young man from Rikers who built a library on Rikers Island.
Right.
And so Mr. Victor Pate puts us in touch with heroes and sheroes just like you. So any final thoughts before we go?
No. I think I've shared all I'm willing to share right now. I have a request.
Sure.
Do what you got to do to get what you need to get. So when I come to Baltimore, and when I come to Maryland, and I knock on your door and I ask you if you're directly impacted by the criminal injustice system and you want to create change, I hope your answer is yes.
Good deal. We love you. Thank you.
We love you too, Donnie. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Have a beautiful day. Good morning, world.